Well, hello everybody. This is my first live stream, and uh, I've been talking to different people and seeing that there's some significant confusion about this coronavirus, and there's very, smart people that I think pretty highly of, um, and but I think are mistaken about the virus. So really, it's this whole comparison of the virus being just like the flu, and I think where that's coming from um, is from the statistics, from the data, the official numbers that we see. So if you look at John Hopkins or Worldometer, you're going to see numbers that there's been, maybe 90,000 or so cases in China and maybe 130 cases worldwide. And so, and the number of deaths is also just a few thousand people. So that's not that much compared to the seasonal flu. It's nothing. Hold on a sec. Ты можешь, пожалуйста, выйти с ним? Sorry. So what is the fact of the matter then? So the fact of the matter is that that data is just wildly wrong. So you can see even today in the United States, for example, we've been seeing how in Washington State, just recently reported that a bunch of people at the nursing home there had died, but had never been tested for the coronavirus. And their deaths were just, I guess, recorded as, viral pneumonia or idiopathic pneumonia, something like that. And that's here, in the US, you can see we've hardly tested anybody. And there's a lot of anecdotes about people that have symptoms consistent with this virus, but they're not getting tests. And so even in the US right now, our own numbers are much higher than what is being reported. You can look, again, going back to the testing, we've had maybe 5,000 tests last I heard, whereas in South Korea, they've been doing 10,000 tests per day for weeks now. And so that's why if you look at South Korea, it looks like they're having this explosion of cases. But there's people, on CNBC even recently talking about how the true number of cases in the US at this point is likely anywhere from 250,000 to 500,000 people that are infected already. And it comes down to this virus being asymptomatic in a lot of people. So a lot of people will never have symptoms, but they're carriers and they're transmitting it. And also a long incubation period. Now, some studies are saying that the incubation period is typically 3 to 8 days. So maybe that's true. And then after those 3 to 8 days, during which people are contagious, by the way, very contagious. After that, they may start developing symptoms, and 80% of the time, those symptoms are going to be pretty non-specific and mild. And in most parts of the country, you're not going to be able to get a test for it, even if you think that you do have this virus. And then, the relatively smaller number of people that are going to have those severe symptoms, it's still a significant number, about 20%. Those are the people that are going to be going to the hospital. Now, so if in the US, or the US data is unreliable, untrustworthy, and this is a country where we nominally we have freedom of speech, right? Um, I'm not aware of people getting arrested for posting stuff on social media. Now, it's true that social media companies are doing some censorship, but compared to China, we still have free speech here. In China, people who post stuff on social media against the government narrative literally get arrested and taken away by the state. And we have many reports of that happening during this crisis. So if our data here, where we have freedom of speech, is bad, just think how bad, how unreal, how false the numbers out of China are, and now, or how they could be, right? And if you look at what's actually happened in China, how they've shut down their factories all across the country for weeks on end, how they were literally welding buildings closed and welding people into their units. Those behaviors, those actions are wildly inconsistent with this being a minor illness that's, just like the seasonal flu, right? It's orders of magnitude stronger response there. And then, you can, if you go on Google Scholar, there are studies, and I cite these in my blog piece that I'll link to below, where actually academics have looked at some of the unofficial information reported by some journalists and social media, for example, about crematoriums being way over capacity, where they estimate that the number of cases and deaths is, probably between 10 and 50 times higher than the numbers that are being reported from there. So, I wish that it was, and by the way, in Iran, same thing. In Iran, various scientists have done statistical analyses where they've estimated, millions of cases there. But if you look at the official numbers, it's, a tiny fraction of that. So all around the world where we have these major outbreaks, we have, unreliable data, with the exception of maybe, South Korea. I think we can be very confident of their data because they've tested so aggressively. They've been very transparent, very proactive there. And that's allowed them to get people into early treatment and to prevent, a massive exponential boom in the number of cases, such that their death rate is, I think, the lowest of anywhere in the world. Unfortunately, that's not the approach that's been taken here. So it looks like we're on track to become, like the way that Italy is and the way that it was in Wuhan, China. And maybe we're a week and a half away from that, from the estimates that I've seen. So anyway, please, take this seriously and stay home. Take advantage of all of the 21st century solutions that are available for ordering things online, ordering produce. There's a lot of ways to get what you need without having to leave the house. Or if you do leave the house, think about, maybe you can order something for pickup where you don't have to go into the store. Maybe, I know Harris Teeter has Express Lane, where they'll gather everything, you pay online, and then you pick up the bag. But you want to minimize exposure to any kind of public place, any kind of enclosed space where a lot of people are moving around, because this virus is transmitted through aerosol, through, tiny viral particles that hang out in the air, for at least half an hour after someone's been there. And those are released by asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic people. So you have to kind of assume that anyone you're running into could be contagious with this. And so that's why you want to maintain a good distance from people and avoid going inside buildings at this time as much as you can where other people are going to be. So take care, guys.